That's okay. I do not need that, no. Uh-oh. I heard a uh-oh. There she is. Good morning, and welcome to Theodore Parker Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Jennifer Bottomley, and I've been coming to this church since 2009. I don't know how many years that is. You can do the math. As we enter into worship, we bring with us all the sorrows and joys of our week, and we know that here we are held in loving community. Here we are reminded that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Here we seek to counter oppression, to work for healing and justice in a bruised and broken world. Here we invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs, and your doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. For those joining us in person, a few things you may want to know. Our congregation is mask optional, and if you would like to be seated in an area where others are also wearing masks, this section is at the left of the sanctuary is reserved for people with the masks. You can use, that's my left, right? Is that right? Okay, good. You can use the QR code at either of the entrances to pull up the order of service on your phone, or take one of the large print copies available at either entrance. If you would like to have a joy or concern shared with the congregation today, during our meditation and prayer, we invite you to fill out a card anytime before our meditation hymn on the table to your right. To your right. Okay. So you may also light a silent candle of joy or concern at any time during our worship service. People of all ages are welcome to move about the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in the cozy zone in front of the first pew. Today, children are invited to be with us during the whole service, along with their animal companions. During the service, our substitute child care provider, Abby, is also available and will be in the nursery for children that need to be taken care of. That's located in the parish hall. Many thanks to Dina for running the AV and computers today, and to Tom Kydell, who's running the Zoom and a Zoom usher. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or you're visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out the connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. There's a card in your pew. It looks like that. Thank you, Tori. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as well as our contact information. And those joining us here in the sanctuary via Zoom are encouraged, or those that are here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out the contact form you find in the pews. And we'd also like to take a moment to greet one another. For those of you on Zoom, putting your videos on so we don't see those blank boxes up there. Would you please put our sanctuary screen in gallery view so we can see our off-site congregation? Let's give each other a warm wave. Now, you have to turn around, and the camera is underneath the clock there for them to see you. As we continue to greet each other, if online, you may post a hello in the chat. If you're physically in the sanctuary, we invite you to greet one another and say good morning. And please ask for consent before offering a hug or a handshake. Please greet one another. wanting to say hi. This is Nina.
I'm just interested in everything.
Yeah, it doesn't get out much.
Oh, okay.
Our opening words this morning are called The Calling of the Creatures by Ian W. Riddle. Come hoof and trunk and tail and horn and paw and wing and claw. Come bird and reptile, mammal born, all full of nature's law. Bring bark and crow and ribbit too, and silent stare and hiss. Bring purr and trill and warble too, and voice no ear can miss. We gather here, each life and all, to celebrate and sing, to honor creature large and small. 'Tis holiness we bring. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, number 175, although the words will also be up on the screen, so you don't have to open the hymnal if you don't want to. We celebrate the web of life, and we will be singing verses 1, 2, and 4.
In every living thing, a fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as the tiny bark on Easter's birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
You may be seated. We'll now be lighting our chalice with words of shared covenant, which we say together each week. I'll read the words in English, and Reverend Heather will read them in Spanish in honor of our sister community in Plazuelas. And I'll invite Eva and James to light our chalice using that taper next to the chalice. There's the little candle. You light it and then light the big one. Thank you. Please say them with me. They'll be up on your screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. So good morning. This morning, we are celebrating the blessing of the animals, a service that has been celebrated many times before at Theodore Parker Church over the years and at many other congregations as well. Though interestingly, I was just saying to somebody else, I don't think I've ever led a blessing of the animals in person, only ever on Zoom, despite being in ministry for over a decade. So I'm very excited to celebrate this with all of you and to do this together today. Traditionally, Blessing of the Animals services are held in early October near the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, which is on October 4th. St. Francis is the Catholic patron saint of animals, and his message of connection to animals and to the natural world is one that resonates deeply with the spirituality of many Unitarian Universalists, myself included. Whether or not you live with animals, for many people, there is a profound sense of spirituality in connections with living creatures, large and small. From the goldfinches and woodpeckers that visit my bird feeder when I remember to fill it, to the garter snake that many of us who were on the Arboretum walk on Thursday saw, to my 2 cats who have covered my pants today in fur and adorably insist on attention at the most inconvenient of times, including as I was trying to write this very text. Animals can offer us so many gifts. They can remind us to be present in the moment. They can teach us about boundaries. Have you ever tried to pet a cat who does not want to be pet? They can teach us about love and about loss. They can teach us about steadfast companionship. They can teach us about trust and nurturing and awe and connection. The gifts and the lessons that we get from our relationships with animals, whether it's an animal we might encounter just once in the woods or an animal we spend years and years living and sharing a home with, these lessons can be as profound and as diverse as the creatures themselves. So this morning in our service, we are going to hear testimonials from several members of our community who have all been invited to reflect on the question, what spiritual lessons have your relationships with animals taught you? These lessons are thoughtful and profound and personal and incredibly beautiful. So I want to thank this morning Nola Hopkins, Phil Nowers, Michael Johnson, Ashleen Moylan, and H.D. Davis for sharing your wisdom and your love with us today. And after we hear these reflections, I will invite us forward to bless the animals in your life and our relationships with them. So we will begin our reflections with a poem by 4th grader Nola Hopkins, which will be read by our religious educator, Rose Galogli.
So I'm going to be sharing a poem that Nola wrote for school recently. I'm sharing it on her behalf. She unfortunately is not able to be with us this morning because of another commitment, but I have her permission and endorsement to share this poem. The poem is about a very special and beloved 15-year-old dog named Valentino. Valentino has been with the Hopkins family since before Nola was born, and these days he spends his time on the first floor of their two-family home where Nola's grandmother lives because stairs have become a bit too much for him. This poem, titled Valentino, was inspired by The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. So much depends upon my soft black lab, sleeping soundly and peacefully on my grandma's soft blue and silver rug, barking at the occasional male person or passerby. And now I'll invite up Phil Nowers for our next testimonial.
Sophie was beautiful. Sophie was an unusually large and proud German Shepherd dog when I adopted her from the Animal Rescue League in Dedham about 8 years ago. She was 12 years old at the time and recuperating from severe neglect, a lengthy hospital stay, and totally deaf due to untreated ear infections. We were a perfect match for each other, both of us being old and hearing impaired. Sophie was a magnificent creature, and we bonded tightly by having to quickly learn each other's body and sign languages. We enjoyed an active lifestyle together, including lots of exercise with dog and human friends at Millennium Park. But after almost 3 good years, time, cancer, and other infirmities caught up with Sophie. Terminally ill dogs sometimes die on their own, but Sophie was too strong for that, but her suffering was palpable and unnecessary. My decision to end her life without further pain came naturally. We were lucky and found a lovely young lady veterinarian named Christine, who came to our house so that Sophie could die in a familiar place with me by her side. The 3 of us sat on the living room floor for over an hour, the humans talking, the dog and I touching, comfortable and sharing. The veterinarian was kind and gentle. The process for which she had come was quick and painless. The result for Sophie was the peaceful kind of ending that we all aspire to. Sophie's death that day changed me. Initially, I was sort of like, is that all? The bright light that was once a precious being was switched off and went dark forever. But there were no trumpets or trembling of the earth or bright light coming down from heaven. Other life went on. Death was normal, part of a cycle. Happens to untold numbers of us every day. Nothing to rush into, but nothing to be particularly scared about either. So Sophie's final gift was to take away whatever fear I may have harbored about my own death. I may still speculate on just what happens to that lost spark, but I plan to enjoy life while I can. Grief over Sophie's death would come later, as I slowly adjusted to my loss of companionship. In that regard, I need to acknowledge my gratitude to Reverend Bancroft and several members of this congregation who welcomed me to a healing space that included folks who had lost partners and lovers, brothers and sisters, and even adult children. Thank you all. Finally, Sophie, S-O-F-I, is a German spelling for the old Greek word Sophia, meaning wisdom. This is the name that I gave to the dog when I got her. I think she lived up to it. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Phil. Now is the time in our service when we deepen into a space of meditation and prayer. And I invite you, if you have a prayer card with you, or if you would like to fill one out to be read today in the service, to come forward and fill one out. You can also do so at any time in future services, at any time before this time in the service, right over at this table. And if you're joining us on Zoom, now is a time to share a joy or a sorrow in the Zoom chat. And as we give some time and space for people to do that, I invite us to enter into this moment with a few nurturing breaths. And give yourself over to this time of stillness and meditation. And remain seated as we join in singing our centering hymn, Sanctuary. The lyrics will be on the slide.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew.
This morning we lift up a joy from Jessica Mink. My daughter Sarah has been visiting this week and helped me host the first Porch Fest concert I've had at my house. And we lift up a sorrow from Keith Gillette. In memory of my stepfather, Thomas Dowd, who died Friday night at the age of 82 in the arms of my mother, Rita, to whom he had been married for 6 years. And a sorrow from Allison Bayer. Thinking of my 92-year-old mother who is struggling with an injury limiting her independent lifestyle. and a mixture from Katie Ford. Diane Feinstein, a true hero for women and girls. And for all of these joys and sorrows, and for all those that we hold in our heart, I will light a candle to lift up those unspoken and those we've heard today. And let us pray. Spirit of life that connects us to every living thing. Today we honor our connection to the beloved animals in our lives and to the creatures of the natural world. Today we give thanks for the many lessons of love and loss, grief and gratitude, care and connection, awe and intuition, and sometimes caution and fear that animals can teach us. Where we are called to offer care, may we do so with generosity and gentleness. Where we are in need of companionship, may we find it available to us, and may we offer it in return. Where we find destruction and exploitation, may we seek to protect and repair. And when we have encounters with awe, may we remember to take time for reverence. Together we rest into several moments of shared silence, followed by our musical meditation.
Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given, and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. When your best friend has 4 or so legs. And this is by Julian Hamika Sato. What it means to have a pet is to have someone who speaks a language you do not. A dog will bow and prance. A cat will purr and blink. A guinea pig will giggle and squeak. A long time ago, a friend of mine had a dog with soft ears and considered herself the pup's guardian. A gentle way of thinking and protecting and caring for a friend. Such a small gesture of respect for a source of boundless love. The dog's long pink tongue lolling in the goofy grin. The cat convinced that kneading and grooming are crucial to this day. A bird asking for a treat, bending a wing to wave. These are friends. They are loves. It's kind of surprise that you should have someone, love someone so much. Who would eat the butter on the table if they could get away with it? And gets endless hair on the sofa when they aren't supposed to be on the furniture. The endless cuddles and tricks and loyalty, the comfort of fingers to fur and big adoring eyes. These are friends, they are loves. They stretch our hearts and they fill them with the abundance of kindness. When they are gone, our hearts remain larger, though their absence leaves room for expanses of grief. Their love champions and companions us still.
Our next testimonial will be by Michael Johnson, our own music director.
So I didn't grow up with pets in my house for most of my childhood. We had a couple dogs when I was very young, but I really only remember one of them. It wasn't until I was a married adult when my first cat entered my life. His name was Hendrix. That's what we named him. Because since I'm a jazz person and a rock person, There's, of course, Jimi Hendrix, but there's also a jazz singer named John Hendrix, so I thought it was a good mix. So Hendrix was a stray black cat who found us during a tropical storm in Miami. He showed up on our third floor apartment landing, just meowing like crazy. So we took him in and dried him off and fed him. Now, neither my wife Ani or I had any experience with cats, but we decided to keep him. Now, I might be exaggerating, but I think getting my first cat radically changed my world. And here's why. So I grew up in more of an evangelical environment, pretty conservative. And I was kind of taught that animals, first of all, don't have souls, right? And that human beings were really the only beings that mattered. The natural, non-human world was there solely for us to exploit, okay? So my first few months with this tiny, curious, obviously very intelligent little being who loved to play, talked all the time, and slept on my chest every night, opened my eyes to a whole new world. Hendrix taught me to respect and cherish nature and other species. So after that, the gates were flung open and my wife and I started getting cats. Our next cat, Kayla, was another stray that we had found, or that actually one of my students had found. And the thing about Kayla was the early part of her life was pretty traumatic.
All right, good
but
luck.
she was probably one of the most
I'll be
loving
leaving in about
cats that I've ever. 12-year-old females named Mitty and Bonnie. And we got to take care of them in their last days. And they were survivors, you know. Finally, I should say that the big lesson that my dog Luke has taught me, so we got a dog a few years ago, a miniature schnauzer, and he is not, he's very, like I couldn't bring him here, right? Because he's scared of all other animals and most people, you know. Now, the big lesson that I learned from Luke is I used to be a person who, if I saw a dog owner with a dog that just barked at everything, my instant judgment was they're not good dog owners. And my lesson with Luke is that I shouldn't judge others on their animal, on how they deal with their animals. So I've learned so much from all the pets that I've had in my adult life, and ultimately I feel like they've made me a better human.
Thank you, Michael. Our last testimonial is from Ashleen Moyland and H.D. Davis.
When I was in my 20s, I rented a room in a big house
where most of my housemates were from Morocco. One day, an all-black kitten came around looking for food, but my roommates forbade me from giving him food. A couple of days later, a neighbor brought him to me because his nose had been ripped off and he was being beaten up by the other cats in the neighborhood. I wanted to keep him, so my boyfriend, soon-to-be husband, recommended naming the kitten after my roommate, who kept telling me that I'm not allowed to feed him. Eventually, my roommate, Mustafa, loved that the cat was named after him, and I was allowed to keep him. I taught him to talk in some basic commands in English. He was really smart, and he would meow after everything I said, as if to say, I understand. After a couple years, I got married and moved out. My roommates had become so attached to Mustafa that I was not allowed to take him with me. It would be several years before he would live with me again, but when I got him back, he didn't understand any of the English commands that I taught him. If I wanted him to come, I had to say in Arabic, Yalla, aji, and he would come. If I wanted him to stop doing something, I had to say baraka or la instead of stop. My son told me I had to tell the bacon story. Because my roommates were from Morocco, he spent the first 5 years of his life having never tried pork. When he returned to my house, he had bacon for the first time. He was a busy cat. He had hunting grounds to prowl, he had his lady cat friends, and there was a nightly howling just to annoy the neighbors. But it didn't matter what he was doing. If he smelled bacon, he would come running. My husband didn't want me to take him in initially, but Mustafa became obsessed with sitting in the backyard with him and listening to Red Sox on AM sports radio. Every time he heard the Red Sox come on, he would come running. He understood what my husband needed from him. I got 2 quails, and he fell in love with them and would sit by their cage with his back to them all day and night, guarding them. He never tried to hurt them. He understood that was his job. When I was pregnant, he would curl up at my belly. I would try to remove him because of the dangers, but he would keep coming back. He understood that I was pregnant and he needed to protect that baby. In 2013, I gave birth to my son, Quinn. He was born 7 weeks early and luckily didn't have all of the complications that a premature birth comes with, but I was warned that he might still have problems. One night, I woke up in the middle of the night to a loud gasp and then screaming. I went into his crib and Mustafa was on his stomach. I picked Quinn up and he was ice cold. Quinn had stopped breathing. I realized then that Mustafa recognized that Quinn had stopped breathing in his sleep and jumped on his stomach to cause him to start breathing again. I really believed that he saved Quinn's life that day. The first time I took Mustafa to the vet to get all of his shots, I was told, after I spent $500, that he wasn't going to live long because he had heart problems. Luckily, I went to another vet and Mustafa went on to live 20 more years. One stormy night in 2020, he kept meowing to go outside, so my husband let him go out. I think he knew it was his time to go, and this was the best way. He understood that it would be too painful if we found him after he passed. We never saw him again. Animals have a powerful presence in our lives. They can understand things about humans that we as humans don't understand. They always know when we are sad. No one told him that my son was premature and all the complications that come with it, but he sensed what my family needed. He may have forgotten how to meow back or interpret what I'm saying, but he told me in his own way that he understood. I am forever grateful for everything they brought to our family. I've had other cats, but none of them have saved my son's life.
Okay, my little talk here is going to be very special because I'm ad-libbing it all. My name is HD, but you're not here to listen to me. I'm a stupid human. I'm here to talk about my cat, Bramble. Bramble is very special. She won't eat wet food, but for some reason she likes banana bread. She tortures our dogs even though they have never done anything to her. She brings us little dead friends every morning. And she bites for no reason. But I love her, and I know she loves me back in her own way. How do I know this? How do I know she's not just some sociopathic cat? Let me start at the beginning. When we got her at the shelter, her name was Mackenzie. This was a warning sign. She was being sold at the shelter for $5. $5 cat. The reason, they told me, is that she had been returned 4 times. She was 1 year old. We had just lost Mustafa, as you had heard, but, like, I don't know, we lost him and we still had all of his stuff, and we figured, hey, she's $5, it'll be fine. So we brought her home. Bramble, they told us that she hated children and she bites and she's basically just a little demon wearing a fluffy little cat suit. We brought her home and kept her in this one room because that's what you're supposed to do with cats. And I just sat on the bed and just watched her get used to her surroundings. She jumped on top of the bed and rolled over on her back. She wanted me to pet her. This devil cat wanted me to pet her. Obviously, I obliged, and at that moment I realized minimum wage animal shelter workers do not get paid enough to understand the animals they are taking care of. Like, my mom and dad had divorced, so she lived with my dad. And Dad, she vomited everywhere, so she was fed outside. And about 3 years ago, my dad died of complications with cancer. And obviously we couldn't just leave her, so we took her. She was mourning just like we all were. And it's just, she went to my room because she didn't know my mom, but she knew me and my brother. It was a long time, and she was upset, but one thing I took from the funeral was my dad's old sweater. I kept it on her bed, and it served as like comfort for her because she just remembered his scent. And why didn't I script this? So it took a long time for her to adjust and for her to get to know my mom, but now she sleeps on my mom's chest. And sometimes she bites. Because cat. She's weird and, in the most loving way possible, a little brat. But she loves us in her own way, and really adopting her was getting to know how to love her in her own way, which I think we can all understand. Bramble wants to be loved on her own terms, just like any human in any relationship. She doesn't really like being picked up. Obviously, we have to carry her someplace. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm pulling an all-nighter again for no specific reason, she'll sit on the couch and crawl on my shoulders. And I know she loves me. even if she's weird about it. And I know that she loves me through all of the little presents she brings me, like voles and mice. One time I had to get a live chipmunk out of the house with like a Tupperware container. It was crazy. So yes, Bramble loves me, even if she bites and screams and vomits everywhere and demands more food immediately after. I don't know what to add on to this, so goodbye.
That's some well-timed. Thank you, Ashleen and HD. Well, we've got some well-timed barks in here. So in just a moment, we are going to invite everybody to come forward if you wish to receive a blessing. And there are many options for receiving a blessing today. So if you have an animal companion with you and you would like me or Rose to bless them, we will be up here and you can bring them forward. If you have brought a representation of an animal friend with you, a leash, a photo, a stuffed animal, please bring that forward with you as well, and we will gladly bless it. And if you would simply like your relationships with animals to be blessed, you can ask for that kind of blessing too. Blessing hands that offer gentle pets and feed companions, eyes that witness the beauty of the natural world. If you are grieving the loss of a beloved animal companion today, we invite you to bring your grieving heart forward too. And let us know that you would like a blessing specifically for grief, and we would love to bless your grief and your love that you carry today. And we especially invite you to light a candle of memory over here at the candle station as you make your way forward, if that's the case for you. And if you're joining us on Zoom today and you have an animal companion at home with you, we invite you to bless them as we begin our blessing here in the sanctuary. Or you may also want to bless yourself or light a candle, reminding ourselves that we do not need to be ministers to offer a blessing to those around us or to ourselves. And if you simply wish to observe and witness and bask in the cuteness of the animal companions here today, you're very welcome to stay in your pew and just soak in the chaos and the connection. So for our blessing this morning, we will use water collected at our water communion in September. And a reminder that together we made this water holy by our shared intentions, and that we have the power to offer blessings to each other and to the animals that we love. And in many traditions, water is used to bless, and it's a reminder that all living things need water to survive, and that water connects us to each other and to the natural world. So to bless with water is to bless with the very essence of life itself. So as you've come forward, I invite you to come down the side aisles and come to the stations where Rose and I will be to receive a blessing, and then head back down the center aisles just to make the flow work. So down the sides and back to center. I now invite you to come forward and receive a blessing.
we close our time of blessing with these words from Maureen Kaloran. For the blessing of animal companions, we give thanks. For the beautiful ones whose fur is silky and whose tails are long, whose feathers are brilliant or whose voices are splendid, we give thanks. For the frantic ones, the runts and the hungry who run for the food bowl, or a pat through this life's last possible gift, we give thanks. For the obnoxious ones, the ones that butt up against us as we're trying to sleep, the bodies that refuse to learn discretion as they make digestive gifts, we give thanks. For those who bark and purr and growl and mew, for all who squeak or squawk or snarl or hiss, we give thanks. For the animals unknown to us, those whose niche in life's web is fragile, whose lives are insecure, and for all who care for them and wish them well, we give thanks. Blessed are the animals, blessed are the creatures who live with us and need our care. Blessed are the mammals and the reptiles and the birds who teach us we are not alone. Blessed are all living things from whom we learn to love. I invite us to rise again in body or in spirit for our closing hymn, number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky, and we'll sing verses 1, 3, and 5.
All creatures of the earth and sky, come kindred, lift your voices high. Alleluia, alleluia. Burning sun with golden beam, soft shining moon with silver gleam. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Cool flowing water, pure and clear, make music for all life to hear. Alleluia, alleluia. Dance, flame of fire so strong and bright, and bless us with your warmth and light. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. All you of understanding heart, forgiving others, take your part. Alleluia, alleluia. Let all things now the holy bless, and worship God in humbleness. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Thank you. Please be seated. A few very brief announcements this morning. Please join us for coffee hour next door or stay for a breakout room on Zoom. The book group discussing the end of policing will meet today at noon in the parlor next door. And today is the last day. It's the hard deadline for Ferry Beach registrations for our church retreat. So, Carol, would you just wave your hand? If you have any questions or change of plans or changed your mind, please talk to Carol. She would love to help you get signed up, but today is the very last day. And our last announcement is that candlelight dinners are returning this year. So, thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much to Meredith St. John for spearheading this. If Meredith, would you just give a wave? We are recruiting hosts right now, and if you are interested in hosting sometime this year a potluck dinner with your fellow congregants, please chat with Meredith about specifics. And we close with these words. May all creatures of the earth be blessed with healthy homes and habitats, and may we work for a world that protects this fragile, interdependent web. May the animals we love be blessed, and may we be blessed in our love, in our connections, in our gentleness, and in our gratitude. May it be so, and amen.